Good evening. It is 6:30. Members of council are assembled when you're ready to begin.
Thank you very much, Don. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order this regular council meeting of the Council of the Town of Saugeen Shores for Monday, May 12th, 2025. I want to welcome all members and everyone joining us in the gallery this evening and everyone watching via the live stream. We're glad everybody's with us. Second item on the agenda is the land acknowledgement, and Councillor Duhaime has that this evening.
We acknowledge that we are meeting on the traditional lands and treaty territory of the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, which consists of the Chippewas of Saugeen and the Chippewas of Nawash unceded First Nation. We understand this land holds immense significance to the people of Saugeen Ojibwe Nation. We appreciate those who live and work alongside us today and who continued the traditions of their ancestors as stewards of the land we are privileged to inhabit. We thank them for their contributions they have made in both caring for the land and in shaping this community. We commit to truth and reconciliation, to acknowledging the truth about what happened to Indigenous peoples because of colonization, and to reconciliation, which begins with each and every one of us. As a local government and public organization, we are dedicated to learning about Indigenous culture, to fostering a better relationship with First Nations and their people, and we commit ourselves to actions that move us forward on a path to healing along with the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation.
Thank you. So third item on the agenda is disclosure of pecuniary interest. Any member have one of those they'd like to declare at this time? Seeing none, of course, you can do that anytime you need to. We have no additions, deletions, or amendments, so we're on to the minutes and the regular council minutes of April 22nd, 2025 and April 28th, 2025. The resolution is the council adopt the minutes of the regular council meeting of April 22nd, 2025 and April 28th, 2025 as presented. Is there a mover and seconder? Moved by Councillor Grace, seconded by Councillor Davinsky. Questions or comments to those minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Okay, so no public meetings and no open forums this evening, so we're on to delegations, and we have this evening one presentation and two delegations. So we'll start with the presentation, and folks who've been following along will know that we have been recognizing folks from our community who have received the King Charles III Coronation Medal, and this gentleman who we're honoring this evening received it quite a while ago now, but due to scheduling conflicts, we haven't been able to get him in here tonight, but we're very pleased that he's here. And of course, I'm talking about Pat O'Connor. And Pat O'Connor of Southampton has been honored with the prestigious King Charles III Coronation Medal, which is a recognition that speaks volumes about his dedication and service to our community. Receiving the King Charles III Coronation Medal is a fitting tribute to Pat's lifelong dedication to service, sustainability, and diversity. This medal, awarded to only 30,000 individuals from across Canada, highlights the significant impact Pat has made through his volunteerism and community involvement. Pat O'Connor has long been a pillar of our community, well known as a Rotarian, tireless volunteerism, and unwavering commitment to making Saugeen Shores a better place for all. His contributions span numerous roles, from his service on the Town of Saugeen Shores Police Services Board, the Committee of Adjustment, the 25th Anniversary Ad Hoc Committee, Parks and Trails Committee, and the Marine Heritage Society, to name just a few of the groups and organizations that he has been or still is involved with. Pat, your belief in giving back to the community and your humble approach to service inspires us all. We're incredibly proud to have you as a member of our community and to celebrate this outstanding recognition with you today. Congratulations, Pat, on this well-deserved honor. Would you come up and I'll give you a certificate?
Thank you, everyone, for your warm reception. I'm truly honored and humbled by it. I've been a lifelong cottager in Saugeen Shores, and I moved up here permanently 15 years ago. And I made it a point to get involved in any way possible to make my community a better place. And I play a very small part in this community to make it better, along with everyone else that's in this room. I was shocked when Mr. Lobb called me after he received a word from the Governor General's office that I was to be awarded this award, and I'm truly humbled by it. And I'm truly delighted that all the other recipients in our municipality that received the award, they're equally as deserving. And I appreciate everyone's support and recognition. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Pat, and congratulations once again. So now we're on to our delegations, and 8.2 is a delegation from the Breakers swim team. Mr. Jeff Horseman is here to speak to us. So, Mr. Horseman, whenever you're ready, the floor is yours.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and fellow councilors. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Jeff Horseman. I'm president of Breaker Swim Team. I'm also one of the assistant coaches. I'm here tonight to talk a little bit about the team and to commit to our partnership going forward with the AWC. A little bit about myself. I grew up in Centennial Pool, literally in Centennial Pool. That's been my home for the 50 years that we've had that. I started swimming there when I was about 6 years old, competitive swimming, swam right through until I was 19 and left for college. Took a little bit of break from the team, but when my youngest son came back to aquatics and swimming, I got involved with the club again. So the 50 years that we've been an incorporated swim club, I've been there for about 32 years total. So the picture that's on the screen is actually our current swim team. It was taken down at the beach this past September, as we started our season. Today, just quickly, what I intended to do was quickly talk about our history and our membership, our volunteers and our successes, what swim meet planning is going to look like when we move into the new aquatic facility, and then our continued partnership and the commitment that we're making tonight on behalf of Breaker Swim Team. So just again, Breaker Swim Team is a not-for-profit competitive swim team dedicated to developing competitive swimmers of all ages in Saugeen Shores and the surrounding area. We are affiliated through Swim Ontario and Swimming Canada. That's who holds our insurance and who helps us function as a swim team. We're run by a board of directors and our coaching staff, all of which are 100% volunteer. There are no paid staff as part of our team. Our history does go back prior to Centennial Pool, believe it or not. In 1972, a gentleman by the name of Doug Rowe actually started a group of swimmers on the breakwall in Port Elgin. They used to meet for about an hour weeknights throughout the summer and swim off the breakwall. They called themselves the Centennial Sinkers. From the Centennial Sinkers, the town of Port Elgin actually helped Breakers along with their start and developed by putting flotation docks and ropes in to help with swimming in the beach, in the lake in 1974, while the pool was being built or prior to the pool being built. So in 1975, Breakers did move into Centennial Pool. We were affiliated as an actual Swim Ontario competitive swim team in November of 1975. So it's great for us to say that we are turning 50 at approximately the same time that we're opening our brand new aquatic center. And we hope that that will be our new home for the foreseeable future. Our current membership looks something like this. We're full. That's all I can say. We're full. We can't shove more swimmers into more lanes. We're at lane capacity. So we have a total of about 84 swimmers, right from our non-competitive kids that are 6, 7 years old, right up to our masters that are into their 70s. We rent the facility from the town for about 18 hours a week, and we shove those 84 swimmers in for multiple practices throughout the week. We need either more lanes or more pool time. Unfortunately, neither is going to happen with the current situation at Centennial Pool. Certain groups, we actually do have a waiting list, and that's why it's so important for us to get to the Aquatic and Wellness Center. We're ready to grow. We've seen this occur with other new facilities open across the province. We're expecting our membership to exceed beyond 100, hopefully in the first year, and we're aiming for 150 swimmers as our base membership. But as I said, breakers and swimming cannot succeed without our volunteers. So coaches, we have 8 certified coaches who are giving up their time, actually getting certified through Swim Ontario and Swimming Canada to be certified coaches on deck and work with our swimmers. Again, 100% volunteer. We have 3 to 4 volunteer helper coaches right now that are in the process of getting their certification. So for a small swim team like us to have potentially 11 or 12 certified coaches, that's phenomenal. We're one of the only volunteer teams left in the province. Our board and executive, again, is completely volunteer. And our officials, which make everything happen for us, are completely volunteer. As you can see on the screen, Stuart Nutt, some of you may know Stuart. Stuart Nutt is one of our top officials. The little article, a clip of the article that I put up there on the screen was in relation to a volunteer officials award that he recently received through Swim Ontario. And he talks in this article, he talks about his 25 plus years as being an official. When he first took his daughter to swimming lessons, and then she fell in love with swimming and became a member of Breakers swim team. Stuart followed his daughter around in her swimming career and became an official. Actually left Breakers for a while and started helping the Owen Sound Aquatic Club. He also helped Orangeville Otters and several other clubs develop their officials program. A few years ago, when the Aquatic Center was on the horizon and we could see this was coming, I made contact with Stuart again, and I begged him to come back to the swim team and help us develop our officials pool so that when we open the facility, we can hold bigger, larger events, and Swim Ontario would be happy with that. So again, Stuart is a level 5 official, the top level of official in the province, and more than a quarter century of volunteerism directly in that. In this article, he also talks about how we're going to move forward with the state-of-the-art facility and the electronic timing system, which I'm here to talk to you about tonight. The picture in the bottom right corner, those of you that may not recognize, well, he's called Coach Jason now, but that's actually my son and one of your employees. So Jason is back working as a senior guard for the town of Saugeen Shores. And he's also a volunteer coach with our organization as well. And he also coaches with your life-saving team. We have other staff from the town of Saugeen Shores that volunteer as well. We have a good working relationship with our aquatic staff within that building. And it makes it very easy for us to acquire some volunteers when they're interested in helping us out. When we move on to successes, I want everybody here to be aware that we don't measure success with Breakers swim team on how many people we put on the podium. That is just a bonus for us. We concentrate on focusing our swimmers on how we can build them and shape them into the adults that we would expect or that we want them to be. We aim for self-discipline, personal responsibility, obviously physical fitness, and personal excellence, sportsmanship, and teamwork. That all goes hand in hand with community involvement, volunteerism, and giving back to both the community and the team. We play key roles in some festivals and different events around the community. We've been a community member of Pumpkin Fest since the inception of Pumpkin Fest. We help with the Huron Shores Run and volunteer with several other coaching activities. So it's not always about records. It's not always about medals. But recently, we have the ability to boast our success. If you don't recognize the swimmer that's on the board right now, her name is Michelle Wang. I coached Michelle from the time she started with swim team. So when she was about 8 years old, she just finished her 3rd year of university at Mac. She used to drive me insane. Michelle used to be the little mermaid girl in the end lane with all of her little friends and didn't really want to work. But one of those days it really clicked. It kicked in and Michelle changed. Michelle just flipped around and all of a sudden she had a passion and a desire for swimming. As I said, she just finished her 3rd year of MAC, the only breaker swimmer in history to attend the Olympic trials. So in 2024, we got to see Michelle. It was pretty special. So Michelle had the option to swim under Mac. She had the option to swim under her Mac. Our coach at Mac has his own, coaches another youth swim team, but she chose to come back and swim under Breakers. So we were actually represented at trials. So it's pretty special for us. The success this year has been phenomenal. As of this past weekend, when we competed at a swim meet in Guelph, we actually have 49 club records have been broken this year. So the key to success with the swim team is building from the bottom up. And we are breaking records at the 8 and under and 9 and 10 level now, which we haven't done in 20 years. So this is where our success is coming. This is where we're building from. We also partner within the aquatic community. These are just a couple pictures of some of the groups that we've helped out with. We always help out with a high school swim team, with Saugeen District Senior School Swim Team. There's a group of 8 swimmers up there that last one of the years that we went to OFSA with those. So with the swim team, we help with coaching. They don't always have a certified or a high school swim coach, so we help coach. We share our pool time with them often, and we provide the administrative supports for them. Life-saving sport down in the bottom right-hand corner, you'll probably recognize some of those athletes in 2019. Those athletes went to the Commonwealth World for Team Canada for the development team. So Jason, Natalia, Colette, and Maddie. 2 of those are breaker swimmers. They're dual swimmers. They swim with both swim teams. All 3, maybe all 4 of those have worked for you in the aquatics facility. The Masters program, we've taken over Masters swimming for the town. It was a struggling program with the town, not by any fault of their own, but it was just needed some help and some TLC, and now we have a full Masters program with a waiting list. Triathletes, we train a lot of the triathletes in the area train with us. They help improve on their pool side. We actually have the 2023 World Champion Ironman for his age group that trains with us and helps us coach. So we have a lot of success in the aquatic environment. What future swim meets are going to look like with this new pool, it's going to be great. Currently, we hold 2 one-day meets throughout the swimming season that we average about 60 to 100 swimmers depending on the swim meet. They're all local teams, Owen Sound, Hanover, etc. But what the new facility can bring with the timing system, larger invitational meets, we can see teams coming as far away as the GTA, London, Guelph, Sudbury even. They're always looking to come down to Southern Ontario. These meets would be somewhere between 200 and 300 swimmers on deck in a session. On a weekend meet, we could run a 4-session meet or a 6-session meet. So you're having 300 swimmers and their families in the community for an entire weekend. Huronia Regional Championships, the region that our swim team belongs to, we will be able to host those regional championships, which will bring 300 plus swimmers to Saugeen Shores for 3 days. Okay. We have potential. It's never been done in the recent past, as far as I can remember. We have potential to run Masters swim meets now. There are Masters teams around. There's one local Masters swim meet a season in Collingwood. Every other swim meet, we have to go to Toronto for the Masters teams. So we can hold Masters swim meets for the local teams. High school, we can talk about District 10s. We can talk about Kwasa even. We can talk about bringing the schools here instead of us going to Guelph. Life saving. I know Life Saving's interested. I know they've got some meets on their horizon as well. It's a great opportunity for us to work together. And one that's not listed up there because I completely forgot at the time, but Special Olympics. I used to coach Special Olympics when I was one of your employees many, many eons ago. And it's there's no doubt in my mind that we can bring Special Olympics back with a new facility. So the commitment. What we're looking for, we're still your largest external partner of the Aquatic Center. We want to maintain that. We want to continue our 50-year commitment that we already have with you for another 50 years. This new building is our home. As Centennial Pool is our home, this new building will be our new home. The electronic timing system is an absolute requirement for breakers to commit to what we envision with the town in building our presence within the community and bringing athletes to our beautiful Saugeen shores. So Breakers are committed to ensuring we are a partner in the AWC and ensuring we'll be here for another 50 years. And today, I'd like to announce that we are committing $195,000 towards the electronic timing system for the AWC. Thank you.
Well, that's tremendous. Thank you for that presentation, Jeff. And as you know, there's a report later on in our agenda about the electronic timing system, but your announcements this evening certainly helps with that presentation a great deal. So thank you for that. So I'll turn it over to members for questions or comments. Mr. Horseman. I don't see any, so thank you very much, Jeff, and you can hang around for that report later on our agenda. Okay, so we're on to 8.3, which is a delegation from Bruce Area Solid Waste Recycling and Matthew Nielsen.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Matt Nelson. I'm from Owen Sound, and I'm probably not the right place, but I'm super excited for you. My kids both did OSAC, and I used to work the timing clock for, I don't want to say how many hours, but I'm here today on behalf of Basra. We have Carrie Drury here, who's the controller, and Vince Pascone, who's the general manager. So what I'm going to talk to you today about is the extended producer responsibility, and that's the new Blue Box program that's rolling out on January 1st. So what caused all this? I'll just do a quick regulatory background, the dry stuff. The Resource Productivity and Recovery Act, everyone just calls RIPRA now, is mandated by the government of Ontario to enforce the province circular materials, circular economy laws. The authority administers the Resource Recovery and Circular Economy Act and the Waste Diversion Transition Act. And that's where we are today. So we're going through that transition from the old system into the new system. The new Circular Materials or Circular Economy Act has brought up targets for the producers to meet in their Blue Box program. And the EPR program requires the producers to be responsible for their materials. So that's in contrast to the current system where the municipalities now are administering the recovery of those products. So there's a bunch of acronyms like everything else, so I'll just hit on some of those. So PROs, you'll hear that terminology a lot. That's the Producer Responsibility Organization. So that's a group of producers, so anyone that makes material, and some examples are CMO or Circular Materials Ontario, RISE, H2. There's multiple parties, and they'll form for different materials. CCA is a common collection. As a common collection system. So that's just the Ontario-wide Blue Box program. And RLG is the administrator of that common collection system in Ontario, and that's an acronym for Reverse Logistics Group. So again, the Blue Box program under RIPRA is charging the producers to operate and pay for the collection and reuse. So it's completely out of the hands of the municipalities now. The producers, the PROs, through that common collection system will run that. Just kind of keep rolling here. Skip some of those points. Oh, sorry, that was the slide I was just on. So one of the key points that's changing has to do with eligible and ineligible sources. So eligible sources under the program are going to be basically residential units. So single family, multifamily, long-term care and retirement homes, schools, if currently collected, that's actually not in blue water, and a certain percent of public space receptacles. So non-eligible sources will not be collected, basically businesses, and I'll go over that in more detail. And that all is when the start of the program for our catchment area is January 1st, 2026. It will also change our depot services. So any depot services that are considered convenience, and what they mean by that is in an area where there's curbside being offered, are no longer going to be included in the program being run by the by CMO. So the RIPRA has administered the program by, or CMO has administrated the program by breaking Ontario into these large catchment areas. So that's, again, a bit of a change because a lot of municipalities or groups of municipalities had multiple contracts, often with multiple individuals in each catchment area. So now you have these broad-based catchment areas. Gray and Bruce are lumped together in catchment 17. So the entire collection was request for proposal or tender for the process was provided for all of Gray and Bruce together. This is a quick snapshot. I know there's a lot to read, but it's just to get an idea across of the varying the complexity of the varying collection systems that are in place, even with the change. So we have quite a varying quite a lot of variation in terms of collection days, the pickup days, and whether the people receiving the service are what they call two stream or single stream. So single stream just means it's all put together and then separated at the receiving facility, or two stream where there's some curbside separation. In the future, the resident communication will be issued by Circular Materials and Basra. So there'll be a direct link from Circular Materials Ontario to each provider's, each service provider. And that will be standardized across the province. That's one of the big advantages to this program, is that it will be standardized across Ontario. So there's changes for the municipality in the implementation of this program. The most obvious one that relates to council would be the reduction in payment to Basra for the collection of the recyclables. So currently that's about $350,000 a year, or about $40 a household. So starting January 1st, 2026, that cost will no longer be allocated to the municipality for residential properties. The collection contract for catchment 17 was awarded to Waste Management, and Waste Management has subcontracted with Miller Waste Systems and Basra to essentially maintain the same catchment or the same municipality services that were that are in place right now. So we have basically the same players servicing the same municipalities. So Basra, under the contract, will collect the eligible blue box recycling from existing member municipalities. And again, eligible, that's the residential. They will compile it and not process the recycling. So currently, a lot of you know at their site, they process, separate, and sell the materials. They are no longer doing that. Under this contract, they actually just store it and then are shipping it to a receiving facility, which was a separate contract. So Basra no longer is sorting. And that's the bulk. Then they'll just do bulk transport instead of driving each load separately down to the receiving facility. There'll be, as the program's implemented, there'll be capture of additional items in the program. Those would include cardboard, milk cartons, or gable top, they call it sometimes, Tetra Pak, and some film plastics. So one of the other big changes, and you keep hearing me use the term eligible, is the fact that ineligible sources are no longer covered under this program. So the ineligible sources, skip this slide. Yeah, so the ineligible properties are basically your retail, commercial, industrial properties, so non-residential properties. Right now in Saugeen Shores, there's about 300 of those. That's a rough estimate. So under the contract, the collection, you aren't allowed to mix, you can't have mixed collection either at collection or the receiving facility. So it will have to be a completely separate service if it's offered. So looking forward, some of the collection options for the municipality are to cease the current service. So there's already commercial industrial properties that already take care of their own recycling. So those commercial industrial properties would, that's an option to cease providing service. Some of the other options include tendering for third-party collection, so hiring a contractor. So the municipality could engage a contractor to pick up all the businesses that are currently being offered service. And under that option, you could look at either offsetting with a fee or funding it. You could also look at having a more complex collection program that focuses on your core businesses. So looking at the urban or sort of downtown areas and having that same sort of process. So going to tender and requesting a contractor to pick that up. And at the same time, in combination or separate, there would be, you could look at running the depot service to either provide those commercial properties with a depot service at the landfill and fund that, or again, use fees at the gate to offset that. So I'd invite any questions you might have.
All right, thank you, Matthew. Appreciate the presentation. Questions or comments from members? Start with Councillor Halpin and then come to Councillor Grace.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. Couple questions. When you say that no longer to use depots, we'll still be able to use our depot that we have at the landfill site?
Correct. You can, so they aren't stopping you from when I say using it, just, it won't be funded. So right now, Basra goes and collects depots. If they're considered a convenience depot, meaning there's already other service provided, such as the Southampton landfill, then that won't be funded. It won't be organized through the new program. So Basra's contract wouldn't include going to landfills and picking up at the depots.
So if we, and through you, Mayor, so if we keep that open and that, Basra is not gonna, won't pick it up any longer, or we would just have to pay Basra to pick it up?
Correct. You'd have to pay someone to deliver it to a receiving facility, pick it up and deliver it to a receiving facility.
And another question I have is, like for our business community, you know, and there's some 300 of them, just having a depot, I think would bring a lot of work to those businesses if they have to start looking after it. Is it possible for municipalities or someone to still hire Basra or someone to pick up in different parts of town, or to pick up on the main street or something like that?
Yeah, that's what some municipalities are doing. Yeah, so they're hiring, I used third party, so it could be anyone. They'll go to their service provider and ask for a quote to do that exactly. So they'll go out for tender to ask them to provide that service on their behalf.
Okay, thank you for now.
And just for clarity, before we move on, just so council is aware, our staff will be preparing a report on this subject and coming back to us with recommendations on how to approach what's been laid out there. So there will be an opportunity for a discussion on the basis of a staff recommendation in the weeks to come. Councillor Grace.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Matt, for the report. Just a couple of comments. First, I'm very glad to see that milk cartons and Tetra Paks and cardboard are going to be, first of all, that milk cartons and Tetra Paks are going to be accepted into the recycling stream, and that cardboard will be picked up at the curb. With regard to the acceptable film plastics, will those basically be the same that we collect now through the trash taxi program?
We don't actually have confirmation from Circular Materials Ontario yet. Been in discussion with Vince and Carrie, and they're in discussion with Circular Materials right now, but there hasn't been a confirmation of that list. I think it's reasonable to expect it would be similar in that those are the materials that have any kind of potential market for reuse. That's
Okay.
usually the limiter, is the market.
Okay, I've just got, let me see, one more question, I think. There is, when you're talking about the mixed use properties, so we see a lot that are residential above and commercial below. How will Basra determine which source is eligible? Will they be providing distinctive collection boxes, for instance, to residences, or some way of identifying that?
Yeah, there's no change in the blue boxes, so there's no markers or distinctive way. Right now, it'll have to be a judgment call by the drivers. So if they see large, blue boxes with evidently what they would perceive to be commercial, but there's not a specific system that I'm aware of that's been put in place to separate those.
Okay, thank you very much.
I have Councillor Mayette, then Councillor Davinsky, and then the Vice Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you. It's quite a presentation, and I'm glad to hear that we're getting a report because it raises a lot of questions and a lot of possibilities for our municipality. But one of the things that jumped out at me is, so Waste Management has the contract for all of Ontario?
No, for our catchment.
For our catchment.
Specifically, but they also have been awarded other catchments and also
Okay.
receiving facility.
They're a huge multinational corporation, is that right?
I believe so.
Yeah, I've seen their
Yeah.
golf tournament and that. So the people that currently work at Basra are doing their sorting and recycling at the facility in Southampton right now,
Correct, yeah.
and they're not going to be doing that going forward.
Yes.
How many jobs are impacted by this change?
No.
About 6.
6 people will lose their jobs?
If you're gonna speak, Vince, you should come up to the microphone.
Yeah.
They won't be able to hear you online.
Yeah,
We're gonna be loading trailers to have the material taken away.
okay.
So there's still gonna be work to do, but they're not gonna be sorting. So we won't lose all 6, might use a few people.
Right, so there might be some layoffs, but
Yeah, but all the drivers are keeping their jobs. And we've been finding lately that we went through a period during COVID and after where it was impossible to hire drivers. And, taking really good guys out of our facility that have been sorting for a few years are turning out to be really good drivers. We've been training them and getting them a truck license, and
Mhm.
so
So-
there won't be many people.
But suffice to say that sorting work is going to be done at a remote location from us.
Yeah, the material will be coming in 2-stream. And, it's just gonna be loaded into separate truck, 1 stream, and
Well, it's never a good news story when you see work in our municipality going out to some other area, is it?
I'm sorry?
It's never a good news story when jobs are migrating away to some other place.
Well, yeah, because we're gonna be losing in the long run, all that product revenue.
Yeah, and yeah, whatever
That was
your
all-
recovery,
That was quite a bit, so, but
Yeah.
that's not part of this contract, so.
right? And then I guess what on the surface seemed like a good news story is that our financial burden will go down by $355,000, but I'm sure we'll find other uses for that money in the waste collection and business going forward. So thanks very much for that.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Councillor Davinsky and then the Vice Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. So just so I'm clear, and thank you for your report, just so I'm clear, blue box pickup will remain the same as we know it now?
Correct, yes. For the eligible sources.
Okay. On a personal note, there are 2 condo areas that are made up of single-family dwellings and have been grandfathered in as part of where recycling is picked up. Will that continue as well? Do you know? Vince, would you have an answer to that?
Yeah, do you know which?
I'm talking of lakeside condos on McNabb or off McNabb Street and the Saugeen Acres.
The CAO will speak to it. She hasn't answered.
All right?
Thank you for the question. And through you, Mr. Mayor, the way I understand it with the condominium corporations is that if they're not currently in our collection, that they can opt in after January 1st, 2026. So the few condominium corporations that we've had conversations with where they're currently not picked up would be able to opt in after 2026. The ones that are currently in the system and get pickup would retain their pickup.
Okay, that's good news. Thank you for that. And I guess that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, the Vice Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I just wanted to thank you for your presentation, and Vince and Carrie, 2 longstanding employees and do a great job for Bosray, sit on that board and they represent their communities really well. So I just want to thank you for your great work you do. Just so for the benefit of the members of the public, effective January 1st, 2026, residents will now place their cardboard at curbside,
That's correct, yes.
right? So I think it's just worth noting, plant that seed now for members of the public to let them know, be prepared that your cardboard now can be placed must be, I guess, placed at curbside, because it will not accept that at the landfill site, or will they not? Hopefully not.
We'll have to get you to, if you're going to speak, Vince, you have to come
That's
up with the
fine.
mic.
Have to put, there's gonna be wage restrictions, like measurements.
Right,
As with all curbside cardboard collection. The nice thing about the way it was done now is you didn't have any wages,
great,
size restrictions. Household cardboard will have to be,
great. And Vince, what?
we have to get it into the truck and others, so.
Thanks for that. See you, Mr. Mayor. While you're up there, Vince, the communicating of this message, for the members of the public, and our 300 businesses, will that happen through, Larry or director, or would it happen through, Boz, or both? How will the communication take place?
Well, we've been working with, go ahead.
We have, Larry Gill will come up and speak to it.
Yes, thank you, and through you. So yeah, what we will be doing is there will be a full communication package. We've kind of already started the onset of it, knowing that this will be a challenge to get through. So that communication of the transition, will come through our communications team, and we will preempt everything for them. I should say that once January 1st, 2026 does roll over, the town will no longer have a role in it. So then from there forward, there will be a communications, if I understand it right, there will be a website set up and there'll be communications coming through circular materials.
Great. That's good to hear, Larry, because the communications are going to be really important. And especially those 300 businesses, right? I think it's, the communication out to them will be key. One question I had about those 300 businesses with other municipalities across the province, are you hearing any indication at all that the pickup of cardboard will be subsidized or non-subsidized or 100% user pay?
For businesses, Mike?
Talking about the 300
I
businesses.
know they'll be paying for everything they get rid of.
But are any other municipalities considering subsidization, or are you hearing that it'd be strictly 100% user pay?
User pay.
That's what you're hearing?
The businesses are gonna be collected single stream.
Right,
That's why I can't put the businesses in our facility,
exactly.
because we're collecting dual stream.
The CIO would like to speak to it.
Thank you. I think that Mr. Nelson had on his slide 9, on the final slide, it had the 4 options that the municipality will be looking at. And as we said, a report will come back with some considerations of what that would look like. So Vice Deputy Mayor, if I may, there could be subsidy through the municipality, like we could subsidize, could be one option we want to investigate.
Thank you. That was my question. And again, thank you, Larry and Carrie, for the great work you do. Thanks for your presentation tonight.
Thank you. Are there further questions or comments from members? I just, and Larry just sort of made the comment about the town not having a role going forward, but it's not entirely true, right? Because the town owns Basra along with our partners, right? I mean, we're the owners. So in effect, whatever role Basra is playing, we're playing, right?
Yes, and I guess I should clarify, I meant for the collections of it. So the day-to-day questions that come in that residents have about, scheduling, or maybe if a stop was missed, that directive will no longer be handled through the municipal office. Currently, if we have them, they'll phone in. Often we refer them off to Basra, but that's the component of the role that will change.
Sure. Yeah. And so we're not doing the day-to-day with regard to it, but we do still have an ongoing influence in the process, what happens, how it's communicated, all these things through our ownership of Basra. And I guess that's my question is, how profitable is this going to be for Basra now that we have this arrangement, right? That Basra's got a contract with Waste Management. It's going to get paid to provide this service. Up till now, Basra has been essentially not for profit, right? Operating, we funded it, and they weren't taking more money from us, at least I hope, than they need. In fact, I suspect they were taking less than was required ultimately, because there was unfunded capital and other obligations in the future that, so Basra wasn't collecting as much money as was required to offset its long-term liabilities, would be my expectation, although I've never served on the board. But now, today, Basra has a contract with Waste Management. I'm assuming the Basra board wouldn't have signed that agreement without building in some profit for its owners. How profitable will this be for Basra now?
I can't give specifics in particular off the top of my head, but you're absolutely right. The program was designed to include for full operational costs, including asset management costs, so replacement costs, property upkeep, and like any sort of pricing schedule, it has contingencies built in as well. So there is, it's designed with a profit and a contingency amount, but it's like, it is a contract that they have to meet, so that what the actual end yearly profit or losses would depend on how effective the contracts operated.
So at what point can we have the conversation about whether Basra can turn its profits toward enhancing service levels?
Well, like beyond the producer responsibility program, because that.
Yeah, well, I mean, everything that's been presented here now is obligations on the municipality to fund these things. Basra's in the business, it's owned by the municipality. As you just said, it's going to be profitable. When can we talk about turning Basra's profits to offsetting some of these costs?
That would probably go to the board. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't feel comfortable. I wouldn't be in a position to speak for the board.
I think that
Sorry.
that's an important thing for the board to consider is, if the company is now going to be profitable. First, I think as the owners, and maybe the owners need to come together and have a meeting of the owners, of shareholders, to discuss how the company is going to be arranged and how the profits are going to be used. We haven't had that meeting since all this came together. I think we probably should have that meeting so that we can discuss the structure of Basra, discuss its shareholder structure, and discuss how profits will be deployed so that we can perhaps offset some of these costs that look like they might be coming down the pike in terms of providing other services beyond what the producer responsibility is going to be. So we should do that. And because I think there's a discussion there. All I'm pointing out here is that the options 1 through 4 that you've listed here aren't all the options, because there is the option of Basra paying for some of this. And the owners should have that conversation with the company to see what extent that's possible. And the other thing to note is that $355,000. I don't think we've had that number put before us in exactly that way before. And I think that's the opportunity. That's the opportunity we're talking about when we're talking about green bin. That's the money we can use to implement a green bin organics program. And it would also be good, I think, to have the conversation with Basra's board as its owners about what role Basra can play in green bin organics collection. I know some municipalities in Bruce County are looking at other service providers now to provide that, and certainly I know the city of Owen Sound has a pilot running, Goderich has a pilot running, so there are other options. But we already own a collection company. It's called Basra, and we could use it to do this work. And we have $355,000, which is going to be sitting there in our budget in 2026 that we could use to implement something like that. So these are I raise all these things because I think these are conversations we should be having right away, certainly before January 1st, 2026, because the further out you get, the more likely it is that $355,000 will get soaked up into other line items. We could be talking about waste collection in a more comprehensive way now, and we should be. So I know Basra's been engaged with the county, having some of those conversations. I hope Basra will stay engaged there. And I think the owners of Basra should become more involved in giving direction to the company on the future and how we want to see that play out. So lots of interesting conversation to come in the coming days. Are there further questions or comments at this point? Seeing none, well, thank you very much for your delegation. It's much appreciated. Okay, so now we're on to item 9, which is report of municipal officers and committees. And we have a report on council governance survey results and the CAO.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be brief. We have Tracy Lawrenson on the internet, I guess I would say, with us tonight from Civics Excellence. On February 10th, I presented a report to council on the potential for a council governance framework. And we did a survey with council from April 14th to 17th. Tonight, Tracy is here with us to present the results of that governance check-in and facilitate a conversation with council on whether or not we want to move forward with any aspects to develop a roadmap in and around council governance. So I'll turn it over to Tracy to present the results.
Excellent. Thank you very much for having me. And I'm just wondering if you have that survey results in front of you, or would you like me to pull them up on screen?
I think all members have it, so you can just go ahead and present and we can see it.
First of all, your results are extraordinary. You should be very proud of yourself as a council. I've got 3 areas to talk about in terms of the open-ended comments, and also can provide any context from those comments on your results. But you as a council are doing extraordinarily well in the key elements that we use to assess good governance. Your lowest scores would be the highest scores by some other organizations, which doesn't mean there's not opportunities to further sharpen your saw, but just I've got comments on what's going well. So the first part is your governance culture. There were comments that the way you are working together is at its best state in a decade. That's a direct quote. And I don't mean to, puff anybody up, but Your worship, you were recognized specifically in multiple comments as a positive, effective, and inclusive leader. The collaborative and respectful tone in meetings and the decisions you make, while people are still given an opportunity to have diverse views. And that's also very important. You're proud of your strategic progress, public engagement. There's some comments on the opportunities for improvement on the public engagement as well, but you're generally you feel that people are well prepared. There's some isolated exceptions to that, but generally people are showing up and contributing effectively. And there was a recognition that this is quite hard with, there's some incivility just generally that politicians are experiencing. But it's very rare that it leaks to your table. So you should be proud of that because it is a really hard time for elected officials. Positive gratitude for the professionalism of senior staff, particularly the CAO and department leads. In terms of improvements, there was an opportunity to discuss sort of meeting readiness and is everybody as prepared as others expect them to be? But that was a small matter just from one or two comments. Some people would like to have more involvement in the agenda. And just two other areas, just the importance of staying focused on your strategic priorities. And you feel that you're doing a relatively good job on this, but just the discipline to stay focused on the high priority policy level work, which is sometimes more challenging, but that was an area that wasn't a problem yet, but just was a bit of a risk factor. Other risk factors are, there's some expressed concern about staff capacity, just ensuring the resources and retention for major projects. You're comfortable that your CAO is working with her staff to push them is kind of a harsh word, but just make sure that, you're getting those results without damaging the relationships. There were isolated comments around wishing that as elected officials, you could have a little more line of sight through the single employee model into individual personnel matters, which is not an uncommon frustration. It's hard to govern without being able to sort of get, into the employee level, but you are generally staying at the really at the governance level despite that discomfort. Other risks were just continuing to focus on project delivery. Partnership with the province and other agencies was both a risk and an opportunity. Those are important but fluid relationships. Sustaining community confidence. You've had some large projects and a lot of community engagement, we'll say, in those. But that transparent and responsive communication, it's hard to hit the Goldilocks level of that, but there's a general sense from council that you're doing your best. And even there was comments about comparisons to other projects in other communities. One specific area that just came up just as an isolated comment is that the public may not understand the legal requirement for why you go in closed and the legal requirement to keep some things confidential that, are certainly of interest to the public. And so maybe just, finding opportunities as a council to discuss your sort of rise and report. How do those matters that are legally discussed in closed, how do they come to council in open at the appropriate time? It's not uncommon that the public sort of feels almost like you're hiding something when you're following those laws that you're required to for legal confidentiality. So those are the comments. And then I just guess I'm curious if you've got any questions or observations about the results from the graphs in front of you or any input or feedback I can provide.
Sure. Thank you, Tracy. Well, first we'll just get a resolution on the floor and then we can take questions or comments. So the resolution is that council received the council governance survey results report for information. Is there a mover and seconder? Councilor Mayette and the Vice Deputy Mayor. Questions or comments for Tracy? I don't see any. So I might just comment. Thank you, Tracy, for your presentation and the work on this survey. It's certainly good information for us to have and gives us a good understanding of where members are at in terms of what they like and what we can improve on. And certainly that will help us going forward. So did you have another comment, Tracy?
I just wanted to say that Saugeen Shores has put governance as a priority, recognized it as something that it wants to really focus on for your residents and, you know, taxpayers to make sure that your decisions are being made effectively, efficiently, and you are leaders in this area in terms of how you're working on this. So a credit to you all for doing the hard stuff well. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much for those words. Thank you. Okay, so that the resolution's on the floor. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? That's carried. Okay, so now we're going to move on to 9.2, a housing initiatives update from the Director of Development Services.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This report summarizes some activities in the housing file that are ongoing with the town's housing program. And the first of these we'd like to talk about is the housing allowance subsidy. We're recommending implementing the item that was in the approved business plan, which was to increase the housing subsidy from $225,000 annually. And that would be set out in a long-term commitment for 9 years to 2033 in a memorandum of understanding with the county, which is updated and attached for consideration. So one of our actions is to recommend approval of that MOU or signing of it. And the MOU is based on the ones we've had in place already. And the main changes are to increase the amount, as I mentioned already. We're looking at changing the frequency of reporting to annual from quarterly with the county. And the effect of that on the ground will be to add 10 households to the existing 20 households in the program for a total of 30 households supported annually. And this will be a long-term stable situation that will not require annual updates and further tax levy increases. Excuse me. The other item we wanted to bring to your attention is progress on the 10th concession site. Following the MOU with Wilson Developments and Habitat for Humanity, the developer has pre-consulted with the county on planning applications to change the official plan and the zoning bylaw to allow residential uses on that site. We're awaiting details of capacity of an adjacent sanitary pumping station that would service the site. And for action by council this evening, we're recommending that the council declare that the lands are no longer needed to meet our current or future anticipated needs. We've looked at this and we don't think it's required for parks, recreation, infrastructure, or buildings, and are comfortable recommending that the land be declared surplus. If that's approved, we would then proceed to put a notice in the paper and on the website. And then, subject to comments, we would return with a bylaw. And that would then put the town in a position to get into the process of selling that land. The next large housing related point is the housing accelerator projects, which were funded by the CMHC. And we have a community planning permit system project, which is underway. We have the additional residential unit designs, which had some design options, which were put up for public comment, and that commenting period closed just last week. And we'll be bringing those designs to council for discussion in June. And advocacy work to talk to the province about giving us the ability to use inclusionary zoning is an ongoing advocacy piece that we have been advancing. And lastly, the Blue Water Lands, which is a site adjacent to the YMCA in the southern part of Port Elgin. The archaeological assessment for that land has been accepted into the provincial system for those kinds of documents. And we'll be releasing a request for proposals to build affordable housing and a park on that land later this quarter. So those are the initiatives we wanted to update you on that have current activities. There are other initiatives, but these were the ones that we have things on the go that we wanted to make you aware of. And then we have the two recommendations to address the transfer of funds for the municipal housing program and the declaration of the lands as being surplus. So that's for our remarks. Happy to be joined this evening if a panel is needed for any of the questions. We have Tanya Dixon from the county joining us, and Jay Posner, Manager of Planning and Development, is also available.
Okay, thank you. So the resolution is the council adopt bylaw 49-2025, a bylaw to authorize the Director of Development Services to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the County of Bruce to transfer funds to supplement the municipal housing allowance program, and the council declares surplus to the municipality's needs and gives notice of council's intention to pass a bylaw to authorize the sale of the land described as Part 2 on Reference Plan 3R-10089. Is there a mover and seconder? Councillor Halpin, Councillor Davinsky. Questions or comments from members? We'll start with the Vice Deputy Mayor, and we'll just make our way around.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And it's great to see, thank you, Mark, for your report, and seeing that land be deemed surplus and selling it off for development for, we will call affordable attainable housing. I think will be a great addition to the community, and anytime you can hopefully add 20, 25 units in the $400,000 range, that missing middle would be a great thing for Saugeen Shores. So it can't happen fast enough in my view, but I know you're working away at it. One of the questions I had was the rezoning from, I guess it was highway commercial to multifamily residential, high density. I'm not sure the zoning we're looking for, but you indicated that process was started in February of 2025. Mark, when, and I have a pretty good idea how quickly the county works and how quickly we work on an application like this, particularly the county. And how long is that going to take for the developers, the Wilson developers out of Mount Forest? How long is that going to take for that rezoning application to happen? Yeah.
In terms of the timing of when that is submitted, I think I'll have to throw that question to Jay Posner. I think has been in recent conversations with the developer. I do know that once we do have the application, that the team is poised to advance it.
Manager of Development Services.
Thank you, Mayor Charbonneau, and to the Vice Deputy Mayor. I think it's important to articulate what's in the MOU with Wilson. Is that the roles of the various parties are these? Is that number one, Wilson is going to be advancing the applications. They'll be preparing the materials and the supporting material, and they'll submit it. So until we know exactly when they're ready, and I know they are engaged in preparing those reports, we don't have a good anticipation. But in the pre-consultation with the county, which we held with the developer, the county, and the town, the county made it clear is that this is a priority. So as soon as they receive the application, they'll be able to advance it, lickety split.
So just a technical term, the Vice Deputy
Yes.
Mayor.
Great follow-up. So three things. First of all, four things, I guess. The $225,000 we're sending off to the county to help families in need. That $590 per month rental subsidy is golden. We're helping 35 to 40 families who really need those funds to make life a lot easier for them. Rentals in Saugeen Shores for one bedroom is approximately $1,900. And coming down a little bit, I understand perhaps, but not much, but $1,500 is a lot of money. And adding, if that was even dropped to $1,800 with one bedroom and you had a $600 rental subsidy on that, now you're down to $1,200 a month, a little more affordable for those in need. So I think that's a great thing that this council has done. That $225,000 was a very important move, a very important decision we made. So Mark, I hear three things: deeming the property surplus, which we hopefully will be supporting around the table. I'm certainly in support of that, and hopefully that's not going to take too long to have that done. Secondly, sanitary, and then the rezoning application, and hopefully that'll happen in the next few months, the rezoning. But it comes down to servicing, sanitary for that site. And you made a comment in your report earlier that you're waiting for the report. Mark, and to you, Mr. Mayor, I remember that meeting back in September of 2024, 7 months ago. We requested those numbers from Cobite Engineering. When will we receive the numbers from Cobite? And I see Matt's here tonight too. But when will we be receiving those numbers from Cobite to see if their pumping station has the capacity to accommodate those 25, 30 units?
The Director of Operations.
Through your worship, I've been contacting them every 2 to 4 weeks for some time now. I'm hopeful we'll get some information soon, but that depends on them.
The CIO has something she wants to add.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. I think that it's just important to clarify that the lands that we're trying to get the information on for servicing are not owned by any of the parties in the MOU. So it actually is another fourth party that we have involved in this property that we're trying to get the information from with regards to servicing. So just to clarify why it's a bit more complex, and it isn't Cobite's direct relationship with the town or any of Wilson Development or Habitat.
Thank you for that. My last question, through you, Mr. Mayor, to Mark again. Mark, if all goes well with the rezoning application, 2 to 3 months, deem the properties as a surplus, and the numbers come back from Cobite, and the pumping station can accommodate 20, 25, 30 units over the next couple of months. When do you see a shovel being in the ground for that development?
The Director.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I think that's very hard to predict. I think we can predict when we would receive a building permit application. I think once we have the zoning in place, I would anticipate that the developer will be keen to submit building permit applications. And then the building process is difficult to predict exactly how long that would take.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is an exciting development, and hopefully sooner than later, we'll have a shovel in the ground.
Absolutely agreed. So we'll just keep working our way down that side of the table, and then we'll come back and start with the Deputy Mayor on the other side. So we'll go to Councillor Stack next.
Thank you. Just a quick question or clarification. So the reason we declare the land surplus, that's required under the Planning Act, is that correct?
I believe the clerk can correct me, it's under the Municipal Act.
Clerk?
All right, thank you through you, Mayor Charbonneau. So the town's sale of land policy requires us to follow the 3 steps, and declaring the land surplus is one of those steps. And it is under the Municipal Act that is required.
And sorry, just to be clear, the reason I ask is I know this question around land surplus is one that there's some confusion in the community. So I just wanted to make sure it's a sort of the term itself is prescribed under, apologies, the Municipal Act. And so it's not fair to say it's not that we don't ascribe value. It's just, there's a specific term in the Municipal Act that we have to use, and that's set out in our policy. Okay, thank you.
Okay, are there further questions on that side of the table? If not, we'll come over to the Deputy Mayor and work our way down.
I feel like I should reach forward to turn my mic on. I just wanted to ask for clarification on the subsidy. I heard the Deputy Mayor or the Vice Deputy Mayor say 35 to 40. Is the current number 30, we're jumping to 40 with the additional funds, or is it 20 to 30? And the second part would be for the benefit of council and anybody from the public watching. Those families who are eligible to participate, they're vetted through the county via a process that is a couple times a year, or like how does somebody get into that potential to get one of these subsidies? So just wanted to clarify the number of families that currently benefit and with the addition will benefit, and how somebody gets considered for that.
So maybe we'll turn the first part of that question over to the Director of Development Services, and then Tanya Dixon is online and maybe she can take the second part. So we'll go to the Director first.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, so it should be increasing from 20 households to 30 with this increase.
And Tanya, maybe you could just add to that, add to your answer, because what we're doing is adding to a Bruce County subsidy. So could you tell us how many households Bruce County's funding is subsidizing and that we're adding on to? And answer the Deputy Mayor's question, Ms. Dixon?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. And thanks for having me tonight and for this contribution. Right now, like was mentioned, there's 20 households receiving the Saugeen Shores. We also have 20 households that are receiving a county subsidy. 5 of those at the end of 2024 were from Saugeen Shores as well. And we'll be adding another 10, as mentioned, and we remove people from the wait list. So we use the wait list as an indicator of who we will offer the subsidy to.
And the Deputy Mayor had the question about how folks become eligible to get the subsidy.
Yes, thank you. So, so we will go through the website, go through the wait list. Once we have an eligible person, staff would arrange some requirements with them. So that would be their income and where they're renting. So, and then that is checked quarterly. So staff reach out to those recipients on a quarterly basis to ensure they're still living in the town of Saugeen Shores.
Yeah, the Deputy Mayor.
So in addition to that, the people on the wait list, those are people who have applied for Bruce County housing. Is that how somebody gets on the wait list to begin with?
Right. So we do Bruce County housing through the wait list, and then we also do several different types of subsidies through the same wait list. We use one wait list for all of those. So when someone applies, so yes, the answer is yes, they would apply through the wait list, but they would indicate on their application that they require a subsidy.
Okay, and that's, I'm assuming, on the county website. My second comment is really just anticipation and confidence that with item 3 on Director Polly's report about a number of projects, community planning permit system, additional residential units, designs, and inclusionary zoning, I hope that brings us opportunities for gentle density increases in some built up areas of town that of both Port Elgin and Southampton, urban centers that will take into account opportunities where there is some land that's already in a well-serviced area that's within a residential zone. That I hope some of these elements, and I have confidence there's some good stuff coming. I hope some of these elements, though, lead to some success with improving gentle density increases in some parts of town where they can easily accommodate them. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Just to clarify the numbers about who's receiving the subsidy, or the number of people, the total number that with the town of Saugeen Shores and the county combined, once we complete this addition, will be 35 households. That's my math. 30 from the town, 5 from the county. Is everybody nod along with me? And am I right? Yeah. So 35 total households in Saugeen Shores will be receiving the municipal housing allowance going forward. So that's great news. We'll go carry on down the table. Councillor Halpin.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. Just with the timeline on the 3 Sheets property, and this is, I feel like, the tightrope that we walk sometimes with staff, because we want to push things. We want to see them move ahead. And you have to understand we're getting pressures the other way too. And I'm worried that if we don't get these things worked out and we don't get a start date to our partners, that we're going to get left behind. And the model that we're doing with Habitat and the municipality and a private contractor is a really good model. And since that came up at Saugeen Shores, there's other municipalities wanting to do this with Habitat. There's other municipalities that are wanting to do this. And I'm just worried that we're going to get left behind and that we're going to, rather than building this fall in Saugeen Shores, I'm just so worried that they're going to say, yeah, Owen Sound's got their ducks in the row and this other municipality's got their ducks in the row. And I'm frustrated. Like, I appreciate everything staff does, but I'm frustrated at the pace. I'm frustrated that in 7 or 8 months, we don't have an answer on sewage capacity. And I guess I don't really have a question. That's just a comment, but I'm frustrated. And I think we're running the risk of losing this.
The director, you have any comment to that, or the CAO? The director?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. I guess my only comment is to reflect on the site itself. When you drive by it as a layperson, it looks like an infill, ready to go piece of land. Because it's adjacent to developed land. It's on an important road, 10th concession. But when you dig into the details, and we did this in preparing the MOU, and all partners to this went in wide open. This is really greenfield land that's unserviced. It's not zoned for the use that we're envisioning for it, and so it is a very far from shovel-ready start point that we were at 8 months ago. And so I appreciate the frustration. I think I sometimes call it healthy impatience. I think we're all impatient for these developments to proceed, and it's a healthy impatience, but the reality is that we started with a piece of land that wasn't ready for shovels. It needed zone changes, it needed servicing, and it needed us to declare it to be surplus. Among other things, my only other thought would be to say that in this case, the applicants do have some control of the process because they're the ones that will be submitting the applications. And so they have that part of the process in their control. Don't know if there's more to add.
Yeah, no, that's good. Thank you. Are there, Councilor Dubinsky?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, everything that's been said, I agree with the concern of council and the frustrations. I've got it down here myself. Shouldn't we have results by now to move this project along? And that's the privately owned sanitary pump station on the adjacent property. Seem to hurry up and wait sometimes, and I feel that's happening. That's happening here, and it's been said before. So enough of that. On the other issue about the money that we're increasing will be to add 10 households to the existing 20 in the program for a total of 30 supported annually. Now that alone is a giant step forward. I love that. Okay, that's not near enough, but you have to take those first baby steps. Mr. Mayor, you said there were 35. And could you explain that again, where the extra 5 are coming from?
Yeah, so remember, the municipal housing allowance is a county program that's funded partially by the county. So the county is funding, I think Tanya said 20 countywide, 5 of which are in the town of Saugeen Shores. So there's 5 households in Saugeen Shores being subsidized with county money. And after we add our 225,000, there'll be additional 30 being funded with municipal money. So the total will be 35 households receiving municipal housing allowance.
Okay, sir, that's even better than we had at the time. I hope that goes quicker than the other one is going right now. Thank you.
Nothing. I think, yeah, and I think that, the way to look at that is, and again, and I understand the frustration. I think the director put it well. We're frustrated. We're frustrated with housing, and we want to move all the projects forward as quickly as we can. The municipal housing allowance, though, and I've said it before, and I'll just keep saying it over and over again until you guys tell me to shut up. We built We built 600 units in the last 2 years. We're now subsidizing 35 of those units, if you look at it that way, right? Which is, what is that, 5% of those units? 5% of those units, is that right? God almighty, somebody help me out here. Yes, 5% of those units could be are affordable, right? Like we made them affordable. We're building units and we're making affordable units out of them. We're giving people straight $500 a month, and they can take that to any unit in Saugeen Shores and make it an affordable unit. That's real affordable units. Aren't many municipalities that are taking 5% of their new builds and turning them into affordable housing, right? So that alone, you forget the habitat thing, which is a whole other thing, which will be a huge success, which we're doing. And also remember that, yes, there are other municipalities who want to work with habitat. All of them are trying to do it on difficult pieces of land. All of them will have struggles trying to service them and bring them on board. We were lucky in our earlier habitat projects just across the street from here that they were serviced pieces of property and ready to go, but that's very often not the case with habitat builds, particularly if you're going to build a big multi-unit one like the one we're talking about. You got to have a big piece of land somewhere. And this is the best piece of land you're going to find because it's right next to the grocery store, right next to the daycare, right next to the aquatics and wellness center. I mean, if you're habitat, you're going to want to build this place as soon as you can because it's the best piece of property that any municipality is going to offer them. So we'll get all this worked out. We'll move it as quickly as we can. And the thing will get built and Habitat will be there to build it. So, and then there's all the rest of this stuff in here, right? There's a community permit planning system. We're giving away standardized designs for ADUs and duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes. We're going to have them designed. They're going to match the character of the community and we're going to hand them out for free. And by the way, the building department is already going to have them approved so you can put shovels in the ground on them. That's in addition to all the things I just mentioned, right? Inclusionary zoning. And that isn't even covering all the stuff we're doing. Hundreds of homes, many of them affordable, partnerships with Habitat, free plans, right? Now, tell me that we're not doing things. We are doing a lot. So we're frustrated. Yes. I want to see it move more quickly. Yes. 600, I would have rather us build 1,200 and we'll keep building until we do. But we are being extremely successful on this front and we will break the back of this problem. So let's celebrate the things we're doing. I agree with, let's be frustrated and let's push these guys to work as hard as they can. They know that we want them to, but let's also celebrate their work. Because they've done tremendous work as we, and we're working on solving this problem. So that's my diatribe and the resolution, is there anything else? If not, it's been moved and seconded. I'll ask all in favor. That's carried. Thank you. All right. So now we're on item 10, which is the consent agenda. And there are 7 consent items. Anybody want to talk about any of the consent items on their own? Councillor Grace? But you want to have it, are you interested in us taking a vote on one of the consent items on its own?
Well, excuse me. I'd just like to make comments, ask questions on 10.4, 10.5. I do want to put a motion forward on 10.7.8.
Okay, so we'll pull 10.7 and we'll deal with it separately. You can ask questions on any of them inside the consent model. So we'll just, unless you want to have a vote, we'll deal with 10.7 separately. Anybody else want to pull any of these for separate consideration of the resolution? Councillor Halpin? Don't forget your mic. Oh, can I turn your mic off, Councillor Grace? We'll get used to this eventually. Your mic not working there, but?
Yes. The landfill monitoring report. Just a second. Oh, I just wanted to make a comment on the landfill monitoring report.
Yeah, okay, so we'll just, comments are fine. I'm just trying to deal with whether we're pulling any. So for now, I'm just pulling 10.7. Looks like that's all I'm doing. So we'll deal with items 10.1 through 10.6. And we'll start with Councillor Grace because she had some questions and she was up first. So Councillor Grace, why don't you ask your questions and we'll go to Councillor Halpin next.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. 10.4, which is the landfill report. some questions on that. Um, Just for clarification, the first one is under the highlights section of your summary report. This is for Larry. You mentioned that groundwater data in closed and capped landfill areas are stable to decreasing. I'm assuming this means that that's decreasing levels of leachate.
The manager?
Yes, and through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm going to turn some of the questions over to Matt Nelson. So just for an introduction, GEI does the annual report for us. And seeing as we have Matt in the room tonight, I think it best just to turn it over to him.
Fair enough. Mr. Nelson.
Hello again. I've been working on this landfill for many years, so it's quite fitting. But to answer your question directly, yes, the leachate generation from a landfill decreases with time. So there's an optimum period, or it's not optimum, but a maximum leachate generation soon after placement. And then what we'll see is a tailing effect of the amount of leachate that's emanating from the landfill. So.
Thank you. I've got 6. Under the recommendations in that summary report, one is that water quality monitoring from well TW33 continue to have results incorporated into the annual reports. So I wondered if you could explain, is well TW33 special for some reason?
Yeah, so there's multiple wells on the site. There was a series of new wells that were installed as part of the landfill optimization project. So we did an initial hydro-G investigation. Those added wells to your existing monitoring well network. Under your environmental compliance approval for the current landfill, it will specify which wells are included in the mandatory monitoring program. So TW33 is just to the north of the landfill mound in the forested area. It provides, it expanded the monitoring network and provided good information. So we've recommended that that be added to the annual monitoring for the current landfill. It will also be used for the future hydro-G, but it provides a good monitoring location.
Page 9 of the report says that at the time of decommissioning, which I think was in 2022, monitoring wells TW16 and TW19, which are located within the fill area, could not be located. Is there anything to be concerned about with the fact that these wells could not be located, and have they been found since this was reported?
They have not been found. These are old historic wells that are located in the fill area. They were installed, I don't have the year, but they're part of the original monitoring network, probably 80s or late 80s, early 90s. And they were designed just to measure, we call them leachate wells, but they're actually in the ground. They're only about 3 meters below the original grade surface. So they're trying to capture the water directly beneath the landfill. So there's no concern with the fact that we couldn't find them.
Okay, thank you. Page 16 of the report says that groundwater directly west of the landfill is influenced by landfill leachate, but sufficient attenuation is occurring prior to reaching the westernmost compliance limit. I know that when we had public comment on this, some people were concerned about this issue of groundwater and leachate. Do residents and property owners bordering the landfill area have anything to be concerned about in terms of the groundwater quality on their properties?
So the short answer is no, and that's because of the monitoring program that's in place. That's the whole point of the monitoring program, is we monitor wells both on site in the buffer area, so between the landfill and the westerly limit, and then along the westerly limit. And as part of that annual monitoring program, we look at the groundwater, the shallow groundwater, which is most influenced by leachate. And as part of that, we found that the leachate influence it actually attenuates prior to reaching the westerly boundary, and then at the westerly boundary, it'd be similar to background conditions. So it's we're finding it's attenuating closer to the landfill mount.
Two more. In the 2022 Environmental Committee's ESAC report, we reported that the town's overall diversion rate in 2021, that was the most recent figure we had, was 37.7%. So the 2024 figure that we see is an improvement. The statistics we looked at reported a residential diversion rate of 46.6% in 2021. Do you know what the residential diversion rate was for 2024?
We've done estimates based on the information we get. It's how everything gets included and calculated. Obviously, like once you get into the weeds, it will vary a little bit. But for the residential in 2019 to 2023, as part of the landfill optimization, we calculated a residential rate of about 43%. But I will note this doesn't include the leaf and yard waste. So if you include that, you could be well into the 50% for, because that gets, we all know how much material that gets if you've ever been there. I'm sure everyone has. So, yeah.
And
Thank you.
if I may add to that, so staff are actually working with GEI right now with Matt and Andrea, and we are going to come up with a plan to calculate that in 2025. So we're working on that right now. So that'll give some accuracy to that component.
One more. So I was glad to see in the report that some construction waste is being recycled by the municipality. In recent years, when we've had reports on this kind of thing, it was reported that construction waste is one of the main reasons that our landfill's life expectancy is declining rapidly. Is this still the case? And if so, are you looking at strategies to mitigate this?
Yes, and through you. So we're always looking at strategies. I will say that for sure. And right now, like we do separate clean wood that comes in to the best of our ability, and that material is ground up and used for daily cover. And we also, when we get concrete and brick and mortar, we crush that material and we use that either for cover or to build roads within the active landfill.
That's all I have for that item.
Sure. I might just ask if other members have any questions with regard to that particular item, since these gentlemen are standing up there. Councillor Halpin?
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. In the report, it says that based on the last 6 or so years of fill, the remaining site is estimated to have approximately 5 to 7 years. How are we progressing, or how does that fit in with our predictions for having the second phase of this landfill ready to start receiving?
Yeah, that's the timeline that's been pushing the landfill optimization process forward. So that aligns with that process. That's been a big driver to get that going. And the foresight of your own council there to get that going has been a big help. So we're at the terms of reference, and I think I've been before council quite recently. So we're just finalizing the TOR with the ministry and Colin Saunders. So we've been in discussions with them. So that'll be at the end process probably in a couple months, and then we'll be moving forward with the full EA. So it should be in a similar time frame.
So once the EA is done though, I mean, there's work to be done on the landfill, correct? Like you're gonna have to strip land and clay liner and all those type of things to prepare it before.
That's correct. Yeah.
And so approximately, do you have a date approximately when that work would be finished within?
There, yeah, that work could take, it's the design work up front. It would be similar to any construction project. So you have the design and tender process, and then the actual construction process, which would be seasonally limited. So it'd be very similar to like a large road construction project in terms of timing. So about a year.
Excuse me, so in about a year, you
A
think that?
year period of time from the design to the construction, end of construction
Right.
of
And
the first phase. So you aren't building the whole thing all at once. You usually do cells.
Mhm.
So, but yes, the initial preparation and everything could take 4 to 6 months time frame.
Okay, so if we add all that up, you think that, do you have any date when you think that we'll be ready to start putting garbage in that in that area?
Not off the top of my head. The EA process is the big unknown for me, so that's why I'm pausing. That's the most controllable part of the process. The EA is has more time variation than the construction part, construction and design. Because once you have approval, then it's a more like it's within control of yourselves. Whereas with an EA, there's all the external stakeholders and agencies. So that's the bigger question mark in that process.
Okay, but we can have confidence that it'll be ready within 5 years?
I'd say it's a reasonable, yeah, it's a reasonable timeline.
I think it's important to remember too that while all of that is happening, we can also extend the life, right? Like it seems to me that 5 to 7 year number has been the number for several years, right? We've been saying it's 5 to 7 years for the last 5 to 7 years, right? Like so all along we've been extending out that life, continuing to push. So my guess is that as we go forward, this is 2025, 2032. My guess is it's unlikely 2032 is a hard deadline, that we can continue to extend the life beyond that. So we don't have to be absolutely concerned that on January 1, 2032, we're out of landfill space, because there's a lot of things we can do in the interim to extend that. So am I right about that, Matt? And
You are, and even there's a new compactor that was just purchased that is really increasing your site life by obviously reducing the volume of the garbage that's in there. And there are operational changes we've been reviewing.
Yeah, so if I may, through you, Mr. Mayor, what I will say is we did notice our volumes. We did have a spike a few years ago in volume coming. We noticed we had a spike in building materials. I think what we've done at the town is we're being more mindful, I think. I think we're seeing our residents be more mindful. Our total volume this year was slightly lower. I think our contractors are starting to pay more attention. And I think the word is getting out there that if you sort your materials and you bring them in, not only is it significantly cheaper, it's better for the landfill. So I think we're seeing that we're doing a better job of that. And I think I would like to echo what the mayor said. It is an estimate, and it is hard for the consultants to come up with exact predictions. It's also hard for us to know how much waste is going to come in. And with the process they're working through, I think we're all quite confident that we're going to meet that goal. So.
Thank you.
anything else on this particular report before we move on? I don't see anything. So questions on other reports through 1 through 6 here? Councillor, I'll go to the Vice Deputy Mayor next.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I wanted to compliment the Breaker Swim team on their $195,000 contribution. I think that's really wonderful, and our contribution 60, I think, or $65,000, and just to I think the report states, this is probably for our Director of Community Services, that the money really wasn't budgeted for, but you're able to find it through contingency. Would that be correct?
The Director?
Thank you for the question, and through you, Mr. Mayor, that is correct. So it wasn't in the original scope of work. In working with the Breaker Swim team over well over a year now, and with our construction manager, we were able, and the project team, we were able to research and find a system that's adequate for what the breakers want to do for the future of the facility. And it is contained within the 49.9 million approved by council.
Just to follow up, and I think that's a great addition to our aquatics and wellness center, and I think it's one of those things where I think attracting a larger swim meets, it's going to be very helpful for the breakers, and that $260,000 is a lot of money, but that's Canadian funds, obviously, correct? And anyways, I wish the group well. I'm sure the memorandum of understanding, which we asked for from minor soccer, you'll be doing the same thing, just to make sure that that their $195,000 is paid, and I'm sure it will be. They're a very energetic group, so it's nice to see those memorandums of understanding be put in place. So thanks for that, Schwartz.
Thank you. Other comments, Councillor Grace?
Just a quick comment on 10.5, which is the beach volleyball lease agreement. I just want to thank the manager, Frank Burrows, for moving the Southampton site farther north. There were a lot of residents' concerns about the location last year. And so that's great. And I'm thanking our staff for listening and responding. Thanks.
Thank you. Further comments on any of these items, 1 through 6? Let's see, I might just note too on that, back to that Breaker Swim team and the score clock item. I think it's important to kind of read between the lines in this report. The fact that staff is recommending or has gone ahead with this demonstrates that they're very confident that they're not going to require that contingency. Which tells you that the project is proceeding under budget or on budget within the expectations of the approved budget. So I think that staff hasn't said that directly in this report, but I'm going to read between the lines and say that that's a pretty strong indication. So that's good news as we wait for that facility to be complete. I might just ask staff too at this moment, is there any, how do the timelines look for completion of the project at this moment?
Thank you for the question, and through you, you are correct that the project is being managed just fantastic. Steve Hardy, our project design team as well, and we are very confident in moving ahead with the partnership with Breakers for that within the contingency, and timelines are still on target for this fall. Excellent.
All right, if there's nothing else then, so we're going to consider 7 separately, but for the moment I will look for a resolution that items 10.1 through 10.6 be approved and received for information. Is there a mover and seconder? Moved by Councillor Duhaime, seconded by Councillor Stack. All in favor? That's carried. And so now we're on to item 10.7, which is communications, and Councillor Grace had something. Councillor Grace.
Thank you. I wanted to talk about 10.7.8, which is the resolution from the town of Georgina on salt management. So this resolution calls upon the province to create and fund an expert stakeholder advisory committee to advise the province and municipalities on the best courses of action to protect freshwater ecosystems and drinking water from the impacts of salt pollution. Back in 2021, our environmental committee looked at this and included in its report a recommendation for our staff to review best practices for road maintenance and potential alternatives to salt and calcium application. Our report indicated that salt concentrations in many lakes will exceed levels necessary for a healthy aquatic environment by 2050. In fact, on page 13 of the Southampton Landfill Monitoring Report that was on our agenda tonight, it indicated that 2 monitoring wells located next to concession 14 may be influenced by road salting activities. It wasn't presented as a particular concern, but it does illustrate the impact of using road salt upon our groundwater. So I would like, I know there's always a need, of course, to balance road safety with environmental protection. But I think considering the 2022 ESAC recommendation and the fact that the town of Georgina has brought forward this resolution to urge the province to take action on this, I move that we support this resolution to encourage provincial leadership on this matter.
Okay, it's moved by the councillor that council support the resolution of the town of Georgina with regard to salt management. Is there a seconder for the resolution? Councillor Halpin seconds. Discussion? Seeing that, I might just comment, and I certainly support the resolution. I only would note that Georgina talks about drinking water safety and the need to look at that. I mean, that was looked at very carefully by drinking water source protection agencies in the town of Saugeen Shores. Roadside salt was reviewed as a potential impact to drinking water or at least to the intake protection zone in Saugeen Shores, and it was ruled out as a potential risk to drinking water safety, and it's been reviewed in a similar way across the province. So I'm sure, I suspect in some cases it was identified as an issue, in other cases it wasn't, but it has been reviewed. So although I won't quibble with the resolution, I would rather the province didn't do that again, because it has been done in pretty good detail. But anyway, just a slight comment. So with that, if there's nothing further, I'll ask all in favor. That's carried. Any other comments or questions with respect to the communications? Yeah, we'll do that. So if there's nothing further, then I'll look for a resolution that the communications be received for information. Is there a mover and seconder? Moved by Halpin, seconded by Davinsky. All in favor? That's carried. Okay. All right, so that moves on to close to public, and it's recommended the council move into a close to public session to discuss matters relating to labor relations and employee negotiations with regard to collective bargaining with the International Union of Operating Engineers. And there is a resolution the council move into a closed public session in accordance with the Municipal Act 2001, Section 2392, D, labor relations or employee negotiations. Is there a mover and seconder? Moved by Councillor Mayette, seconded by Councillor Duhaime. All in favor? Council will now move into a closed session.
Deputy Mayor, you'll have to log out of this meeting and log into the other one.
Okay, so we're going to arise. Give me half a second here. Now I'm in the wrong spot. All right, so I have a resolution, the council arise from the close to public session and resume the regular council meeting. Is there a mover and seconder? Moved by Councillor Stack, seconded by Councillor Davinsky. All in favor? That is carried, and I will report from closed that we adopted the closed to public meeting minutes that were presented on the agenda, and I have a resolution or recommendation arising from closed, and the recommendation is that, geez, I could just read this thing. I'm out of my mind. I will report that during the closed public session, council approved closed public minutes. Council discussed matters relative to labor relations and employee negotiations with regards to collective bargaining with the International Union of Operating Engineers. There was a recommendation coming out of the closed session, and that recommendation is that council adopt bylaw 55-2025, a bylaw to authorize the corporation of the town of Saugeen Shores to enter into a collective agreement with the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 793. Is the remover and seconder? Moved by the deputy mayor, second by Councillor Stack. Questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. All right, so then we'll move on to bylaws. There are 5 bylaws there for your consideration. Anybody wish to have any of those considered on its own? Seeing no request for that, I will read the resolution that bylaw 49-2025, 50-2025, 51-2025, 52-2025, 53-2025 are hereby read, passed, and sealed this 12th day of May 2025. Is there a mover and seconder? Moved by Councillor Gray, seconded by Councillor Davinsky. All in favor? That's carried. I did. I know we already approved it. I will just note before I read the confirmatory bylaw, it was mentioned to me by the deputy mayor, and actually 2 weeks ago, Councillor Mayette raised it, but I'll raise it again here now. It was a week ago this Friday. I attended the retirement party for Pete Knechtel after 48 years of service to the town of Saugeen Shores. And so I just wanted to, now that he is formally retired, I wanted to, did I say 48? Jeepers, God almighty. He's not, 38 years. He's still young. I said to him at the retirement party, he had too much dark hair to retire, and so he couldn't possibly be working for 48 years. But anyway, I just wanted to say thank you to him for all of his years of service, and want to wish him all the very best in retirement. All right. So with that, we have the, the confirmatory bylaw. The resolution is that bylaw 54-2025, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council of the town of Saugeen Shores, is hereby read, passed, and sealed this 12th day of April 2025. Is there a mover and seconder? Councillor Halpin and Duhaime, all in favor? That is carried. And finally, a resolution of this regular council meeting of May 12th, 2025, hereby adjourns at 8:42 p.m. Is there a mover and seconder? Moved by the Vice Deputy Mayor, seconded by Stack. All in favor? Council stands adjourned. Have a good evening, everybody.